There we go. Hey, it's Jamie Lambert here with SportsReds.com. Back here with another episode of Salt, Pepper, and Don't Forget the Sugar. We got Ryan Milliken on here with us tonight. And as we was talking earlier, he definitely wants to take the Pepper ownership tonight in the absence of Craig. Craig's in Alabama, spending some time with his family. And we wish him well. But and as we were getting ready to come on tonight, he sent us a message. So I do want to warn everybody that's wherever Craig's at in Alabama. It doesn't sound like it's a good night. What was it he said, Ryan?
He said, and I quote, "I'm in Alabama drunk, and I think I'm going to shit myself. Or I think I'm going to shit my pants." So, poor Christy. The whole family. I'm really feeling for him tonight.
Right. So for the people that do it, maybe send when they go to lay down tonight, maybe send a prayer out for Christy and Asher and Jairus and Craig's family in Alabama for whatever he's about to put them through.
We definitely need some prayer warriors.
Right. So, but we missed last week. We all had something going on, and so in the course of the last couple of weeks, well, we're going to kind of touch on the George, the police brutality and the protest at the end tonight. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. It's what happened is complete. There's no way that can happen when it comes to police brutality. And but then also, my opinion is, the things that are happening in the country since then cannot happen either. It's refreshing to see some of I seen in Columbus, the protesters were there, and the Ohio State Patrol and the Columbus Police were lined up. I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook. Yeah. They were protesting, and then they all took a knee, cops and everybody. I guess we will touch on it for a second. Cops aren't all bad people. I know a lot of cops. I know a lot of policemen. I know a lot of state highway patrolmen in Ohio, and I know a lot of state troopers in West Virginia. And I don't have to ask them. I mean, I know the type of people they are. They don't like what happened in Minnesota, and I'm sure 90% of anybody that is in criminal justice feels the same way. So to protest against all police members, all troopers, we could go on and on, but I'm not getting into all of it. I think everybody just needs to kind of step back. And the one thing I will say that I have learned over the past couple weeks that I was ignorant to, and write that down because I don't say that very often, but I was. And some friends of mine have posted some things on Facebook, talking about their kids and things that go on during school. And I've been friends with these people a long time, and I maybe just make stuff up. So, but we do have an issue. So the only thing I want to say about it, I guess, is parents. It's 2020. Those days are long gone, and we're all American citizens, and that's, in my opinion, that's the way we should look at it. Somebody the other day said that, I can't remember who it was. It was Pastor Yadnicek from Wellston. Said he did a little Facebook thing, mowing grass down by his pond. But very smart guy, very genuine guy, love him to death. There's 10 million skin collars in the world. And then, of course, he referenced per Google and per Google scientists, because that's where we got the information from. But I guess someone did a study on it. So, so we look at white, black, and Hispanic, and there's 10 million skin collars. And, I hope someday that that every one of us can walk out of the house, and it doesn't matter what skin color we are, but we're all, American citizens, and all enjoying the freedom that, that our country, that our veterans give us. And, and all this stuff goes away. Police brutality is not just white cops, black criminals. It's also black cops, white criminals. It's black cops, black criminals. It's white cops, white criminals. And I know, and I can see how it turns racist when it's a white cop and a black criminal. But and I don't even think George Floyd was a criminal from the articles I read. I just think he was. Yeah, I just think that cop was a douchebag. I mean, there's no other way to say it. But and the three guys with him, and hopefully they got charged. So hopefully that'll start calming some of these riots down. But anyway, you can turn on any news channel in the country and listen to that stuff. So we're not going to talk about that. So, but what we're going to talk about, sports are starting back up. Thank goodness. And everybody's made concessions, from NBA owners to NBA players to team owners to cities to concession companies, to try to make something happen with everything that's happened over the last couple of months with COVID-19. So the NBA's got a plan in place. Major League Soccer's got a plan in place. Women's basketball's got a plan in place. Starting to get college athletes back on campus, starting to get high school football players back in the weight room, and the pesky players of Major League Baseball. They obviously spatting with the owners and the players and owners spatting. Talking about how many games they can play, and and how long they need to work, a training camp and whatnot, which is all fair questions and concerns. But somebody's got to give in that situation. And right now, it looks like every other sport, everybody's giving a little bit. And, players and owners aren't wanting to budge a bit. And I think they were originally shooting for like July 4th to start. And I mean, there's people saying today that that's not going to happen. So, and they also got a collective bargaining agreement coming up in the next year that, if this turns south, we could be looking at another strike, maybe even another season missed of Major League Baseball. And, after the steroid issue, some years back, baseball's really never recovered from it. So I think if this thing turns bad, which it looks like it may, you could be seeing a whole different, you could be see empty seats for the next 4 or 5 years when you're looking at Major League Baseball and, and kind of the salaries of the players. So, I mean, what's your take on that, Ryan?
Just a bunch of overpaid babies, man. I mean, I just, I don't see how our youth leagues are putting plans together, and in the travel stuff, starting last weekend, they already started playing, which is a great thing, because with everything going on, from COVID to the protests, just everything. To me, the travel thing starting back up, as far as with kids, I mean, that's something that we really needed. I mean, that's something that they're not going to be sitting there staring at a TV watching all the bad that's going on. They're back on a ball field where life's fun again. So I think that's real important. But how a small town can put this together, and now we have the NBA, they're Disney, like you said, soccer, what is that, the Korean League, blah, baseball's on TV. How's everybody else got their shit together? But here the MLB's just dragging on through, and it all boils down to money. Nobody wants to lose money because they ain't going to play the number of games. well, like we said earlier, and I'm not going to say it how I said it earlier, but I don't want to watch an overpaid baseball player that makes $30 million a year sit around and cry that he's only going to make $15 million this year when, I just.
Well, let's be completely honest with the game of baseball. You, as I said in episode 1 or 2, whichever one it was, I'm a sports guy. I can sit and watch basketball and baseball all day long, basketball and football all day long, especially at the college level and the high school level. The NFL level is kind of tough at times, being that the Bengals are awful. But I still watch it. Yeah. So, but here's the one thing that blows my mind when it comes to baseball, Major League Baseball, is you have Bryce Harper, who gets drafted by the Nationals, brought up for a year or two in their farm teams, their minor league teams, comes up, has a couple good years. Impressive. Right. And then bolts because 300 million isn't enough. He wants 340 million. And my I guess my angle with this is you do to be a great baseball player is one of the hardest things in the world to do. As far as a pitcher or a hitter, one of the hardest things you will ever do in your life. But I mean, when a pitcher is making, $700,000 a start, I mean that's too much. And then then obviously, you try to take a family, to a baseball game, even a Reds game, who is probably, the Reds tickets are probably some of the cheaper in the league. If you take 3 people there, you're dropping $400 or $500 by the time you count tickets, food, parking, and all that is affiliated with the salaries of these players. I don't know how the inflation happened, but looking back at Michael Jordan after watching the 10 episode series of The Last Dance, and Scottie Pippen, that whole team's salary, and it was just 20 years ago. It wasn't like that was 40 years ago or 50 years ago. Those guys were making $1 or $2 million a year, with the exception of Jordan. But now, Tristan Thompson. He's making $28 million a year, and the Cavs wonder why they can't build a winner. So I guess, but we'll get back to baseball. But if you're telling me if my salary is $30 million this year, and we play 162 games plus the playoffs, and we're only going to play 50 games, let's say, I'm just using an example.
Right.
I'm not a math major by any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I didn't know you could read.
I think it's very simple. I think you take 162 games, you divide it by the 50 games, and you prorate, and everything is prorated. I don't know, and I think that was the first thing the owners came back with, and the players shot it down. So if you're playing 3/8 of your season, then you get 3/8 of your salary. And I don't know how that's not fair.
Right.
And it's still,
last year was the first year that I didn't go to a Reds game last year at all. And typical years, for the last 6 or 7 years, I'm not afraid to say we probably made a half dozen games, maybe a couple of those years more than that. Well, hell, Connors went with us before.
Right.
And just get back on the pricing of things is when we go, we like, we don't like to set way up top. We like to be down on the field where the kids got a chance at, foul balls and things like that. I mean, you got a few hundred in tickets if you take, 4 people. And when you're talking and you're $9 a beer.
Right.
I remember Hunter likes nothing but chicken, Jamie. and he got his 3 chicken tenders. The same thing you can get at KFC, chicken tenders and some fries and a drink. You get it at KFC all day long for $6. And there it was $27. That's the problem. But like you said, the reason the prices are like that, why it costs you $30 for a good parking spot, is because they got to pay them damn salaries.
Well, it's 30 for a good parking spot, and it's 25 for a shitty one.
Right, and but you got players, and you threw out Bryce Harper, and I'm gonna throw out Joey Votto that ain't worth the Charmin extra he wipes his ass with. He's completely. I mean, he's out of he signed his big contract, brother, and he's done. And that happens. They finally get their big contracts, and they're never the same player.
So with that being said, here's the other angle that frustrates me when it comes to baseball. Is you have guys that are trying to live their dream, whether it be playing with the Chillicothe Paints or the Athens, what they call Copperheads.
Copperheads.
The West Virginia Power over here in Charleston. There's teams all around the country. So the one thing that does that rub me the wrong way that the owners are doing is they're using this COVID-19 outbreak and cutting some of their minor league teams. And those guys are living with people, maybe making $300 or $400 a week, maybe. And now, granted, their housing and utilities are paid, but if it's that big of if it is that greedy, and here I said this earlier to you before we started recording, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe I am. If you put OU's baseball team in Cincinnati Red uniform playing against other collegiate teams that have Major League Baseball uniforms on, the baseball is not that much different.
It's not. And I mean, I've been to Paints games. I went, I've went and watched the Clippers. And I mean, baseball's baseball, Jamie. If you love baseball, it doesn't matter. I like going down and watching the 8U kids play. I have a blast. I mean, if you love the sport, it doesn't matter. Now, do you like going on and watching? There's no doubt that the major leaguers, they're very talented. They do things that most can't, and that's fun to watch. It was always a treat. I loved watching Billy Hamilton play center field.
All I could do was run.
Yeah. And I mean, but he come up, and what people don't realize about Billy Hamilton is he come up as a shortstop.
Right.
He was a great shortstop, but they had Zach Cozart, and it made sense. And I mean, the man's making his hay in center field.
We had the boys at I think it was the second game after he was called up, and we obviously when we go early. And we were there during batting practice, or not batting practice, but they were out stretching and getting loose and all that. And he was running poles from right field line to left field line, and he literally, the only guy I've ever seen on TV that runs like him is Terrell Pryor. He looked like a damn deer, just like prancing.
Yeah.
But he moved so fast, and then he actually came in, I think in like the 10th inning. As a pinch runner, yeah, and they put him on first base. He stole
Didn't he still second?
Yeah, and then scored on a single from second, and in the game. But yeah, so what I guess so. What I'm saying is the players want the owners to open their financial books. Bullshit. That's not. Listen, you're right. The owners are making money, but the owners paid money out of their pocket and invested, and it's their business.
Right.
You are a baseball player that if you have a career-ending injury tomorrow, hopefully it never happens to anybody we're talking about. But if you do, there are 400 guys that are ready to come up and take your spot.
Yeah, and what I was getting into when I was talking about the whole Billy Hamilton thing, because we're kind of into it. This is all about money, and Connor. If you talk to Connor, he'll tell you the same stories. Because he went to Reds Fest with us one year. You know, we went a few years. It's a good time, but you can tell who's there for the sport, for the fans, and who's there for the money. I've got a picture of Connor and Hunter, some hanging up, some Eugenio Suarez. I mean, sits there, plays with the kids.
I think it was actually a picture of Billy with one of them or both of them or something too.
Well, but what I'm getting to, so I'm standing back in line, getting ready to get my picture taken with Billy Hamilton, and Connor and Hunter go up there. And I mean, Billy Hamilton and Hunter just sitting there dying laughing.
Right.
So Connor starts laughing. And I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell could they possibly be talking about? You know, because I mean, they're having a good time. And finally, you know, I get through and I ask Hunter, I said, what the hell? And I was making fun of Hunter's shoes because they're the ugliest shoes I've ever seen in my life. And Billy was complimenting him on them, saying, I got the same ones at home.
Right.
And so, but that's what I'm saying. The interaction there, once again, had Hunter at a game. It was just kind of weird because once again, Billy Hamilton throws him, you know how they warm up before the innings, and threw a ball up to him. And that was a year or two prior to that. You've got players like that, but then you have, I'm going to tell you the biggest asshole I've ever met is Pete Rose.
Right.
I paid, I think it was around $300, Jamie. They was selling off all of his hits to pay for his statue there at the Great American.
Right.
And so I pay $300 for a plaque and an autographed ball from him, and then I go to Reds Fest and get picture taken with him. This son of a bitch wouldn't speak, nothing. I mean, he wouldn't. I mean, here I'm, you know, I buy his hit for something that he deserved. Don't get me wrong, but and he wouldn't speak to nobody at all. And then he gets up on stage drunker than hell. In hell. And, but here's what we're getting into right now. This is my whole point. So in that conversation that they're having up on stage with Pete Rose, he said, what has ruined baseball is multi-year contracts. And we've been talking about that. And it makes sense, and here's why. Like he said, what you did in 74, you got paid for in 75. What you did in 75, you got paid for in 76.
Yeah.
Now it don't matter.
What Bryce Harper did in 2017, he's getting paid in 2027.
Well, the same with Joey Votto. You can go back to A-Rod.
Right.
You know, you keep on going down the line. In the last 10 years, we've really started to lose the damn sport. It's because of multi-year contracts. I truly believe that.
Yeah, and what happens is where there's no salary cap in baseball.
Right.
So you have the Yankees, you have the Red Sox, you have the Cubs, you have the Dodgers, you have the Angels. Help me if I'm missing anybody, but that's the bulk of them, I think. That they have money, and they don't care to spend it. that they are always going to be at the top, and it's unfair for the small market teams such as the Brewers, who's had a couple good years. The Reds have won a World Series or two, but not since the inflation has happened with these player contracts.
Right.
So how do you somewhere along the lines the players this is, and for anyone listening to us, because it sounds like I'm like all like pro owner, and I am when it comes to this COVID stuff, but I'm not when it comes at the end of the day. So if you fix the contracts and you have, if a major league player has a 10-year career that they're making $10 million a year, so let's say that's let's say that's a Hall of Fame baseball player. All right, that's $20 million. Obviously, taxes are included, agent fees, whatever. But then what people lose sight of is then all the endorsement deals that they have as well. That most great players make more money off endorsements than they do off their contract. So, but I guess what I'm saying is if a Major League Baseball player makes $20 million over 10 years, and I mean, is he not financially stable forever?
Well, you're right.
The right way.
The endorsement's a huge thing, man. And then what about?
Let's say 50 million.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, though, and the fair way to do it because of the TV contracts and maybe it's more than. I said that wrong. I'm sorry. I was saying $10 million a year, right? Over 10. So that's $100 million, not 20. My fault.
Right.
So, but what has to happen is everything in pro sports, pro athletes has to be reset somehow. But for that to happen, the owners had then got to say, okay, let's make this shit affordable. And now parking's $10 and the tickets are $30. And you can get a bottle of water for $2 instead of $8. And and the whole kind of market shifts back where it's then affordable for a middle class family to be able to go not just once, but now they can go 5 or 6 times a year if they want.
Right.
Instead of saving money up for 2 months to be able to go once. But and I guess that's a whole other topic. But what I would like to see is the owners and the players sit down. And Tom Glavine, if I was a pitcher in my day, and I talked to the boys constantly about mental toughness and location. I don't care about your speed. I don't care about necessarily your curveball is long, but it's got to be slower. It's got to be a change of speed. And when I was growing up, it was Smokes, Maddox, and Glavine at Atlanta. As you were that. I mean, there was not a pitching roster, a rotation that was better than that, and they're probably still not to this day. But they, even Glavine said, I'm not going to quote it, but it was something along the lines of, if the players union doesn't get this figured out, this is something that's going to affect baseball for the next decade.
Right. Yeah. The sport's dying. I mean, and it has been, and yeah, there's a ton of money in it, but average people can't afford to go to a ball game, man. I mean, like I said, I just gave a quick breakdown of what a freaking box of chicken cost. So you damn sure got to eat before you go. You need to pound beer on your way, unless you're, like us, and then when you drink 4, you want to drink 6 more.
Listen to this. We were fortunate enough last year to Jake Maley, a kid that graduated with me and went to St. Peter and Paul School with me in grade school. Is a family friend of Paige, and he gave us tickets to I don't even remember who they played.
Is that the one you called and asked me to go to with you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, this is a good story. So we're in the right field hospitality area, like the club level. Okay. So we walk in, we had a parking pass, so we didn't have to pay no parking, no tickets, and we actually had seats, the level, like second row, level 2, right behind the home plate. We had 4 tickets there, plus the 4 tickets at the club level. All food paid. At that club level, you can go in there and eat and have whatever.
Sure.
But the drinks were, obviously you had to buy the drinks, and we just got a kick out of it. So, and again, I appreciate Jake for doing it. Jake, I think he's liked some of these. So I think he does listen, but we had I got a red solo cup full of draft beer, and Paige got a double shot of Crown, and they came back and guess
26 bucks.
$38.
Man.
Yeah, and then obviously, yeah, then she stands there and wants a tip, and and then keep going back and was like, and you couldn't even get a buzz on for $200.
No. I mean, and the thing is, it's so damn hot in there. I mean, just sweat it out as fast as you drink it.
Right.
I mean, I do. I get beer for the way there. It is what it is. But I didn't go to a single game last year and said I wouldn't go. Even pre-COVID-19, I said I wouldn't go this year. It's just, I can watch it on the TV, but I'll tell you, the Reds is kind of becoming to be kind of like the Bengals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just not even fun to watch anymore.
Well, I mean, hopefully with some of the moves they made, and but the problem is the rotation they have, after this year is going to be gone, and so I mean, unless they spend some money, and obviously they're not going to have to spend, after. I mean, every team is going to lose money this year, obviously.
Well, they're going to struggle to redo contracts.
Right.
It's going to hurt baseball if they don't play. They think that they're doing themselves a favor by fighting over money right now of what they're not getting. They don't realize what it's going to really mess up over the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Well, and I don't know how an owner can't say, say you don't have the season, how an owner can't say, well, we didn't play, so, I mean, your contract's void for this year.
You would think that there would be a clause in there somewhere.
Yeah, you would think, but listen to this. So, obviously, I know several school board members, not just Wellston that we had the one episode about, but several school board members all around, and that coaching contracts, there was not a clause in there about anything involving something like this. So, from my understanding, there's been a couple school districts that their coaches have said, okay, well, you got to pay me, but here's what I want you to do: give it to my boosters. And then there's also been some coaches saying, why I had 3 practices and 80% of my work was done. So yes, you still owe me, and we're forced to pay them. So they did not have. So I guess anybody that hears this from a school board standpoint, you might want to add in a clause that says something about your season being cut short to whatever could happen, and and protect yourself. Because from my understanding, a bunch of coaches, are like baseball coaches, track coaches, softball coaches, whatever else could go on in spring sports. A bunch of those coaches were getting paid because there wasn't that clause.
Well, God love them for it. I mean, and I don't think most of the time that I don't think that they're a lot of them are paid accordingly. I mean, a piss poor coach, yeah, but I mean,
coaching salaries suck at the high school level.
It does, and they're not paid for their time.
No, if a decent coach ever calculates his hours compared to his pay, uh, it is minute. I mean, it's usually less than minimum wage, and that's not why 95% of coaches do it. They don't do it for the paycheck.
You go, and Morgan Stevens, the kind of guy I'm pretty sure he would just about damn near do it for free. It's not all about the money to everybody, and it shouldn't be, because I mean, if a little bit of your heart isn't there for the kids, it ain't the job for you. You go 8 miles.
Stop.
Huh?
Stop. You just perfect. All right. So we're talking Major League Baseball.
Sure.
If you to play the game of baseball that you grew up, you didn't grow up to be a millionaire. You didn't grow up playing baseball to be a millionaire.
No.
You grew up because why?
Well, because you love the love for the sport.
And you love the game. You love the interaction. Yeah. Something about the game.
But hold on.
Yeah.
You loved watching people play on TV. Growing up, I loved watching Eric Davis. I liked watching Barry Larkin and Chris Abo, and Joe Oliver. That's why I started liking baseball at a young age. So with that being said, that's what these son of a bitches don't realize what they're doing is,
You forgot where they came from.
they're hurting the game, but yet look at the kids that love the sport because of what they see on TV, or if they get a chance to make it to Great American Ballpark or where Progressive Field, wherever they go, and they're being robbed of that. And that's the thing. I mean, I can't tell you how many games of baseball and throw some softball in there, or even in basketball, but just baseball alone, I wouldn't even want to try to count the games. It's about the kids, and if you're not doing it for that, you're in it for the wrong reason. It ain't about the money, especially at the high school level as well. You go 8 miles, up 32 to Jackson. Josh McGraw is one of the best baseball coaches I've ever met. He ain't there for the money.
And Josh McGraw is the one thing I will say about Josh McGraw. I've only watched him coach like two high school games. I think in the whole time that he was the coach at Jackson. Then he went back home to Portsmouth, and then they brought him back. Sure. The one thing I will say about Josh McGraw, and he comes across, and I hope he listens to this, because it's just my opinion. He comes across as one of the most arrogant people that you'll ever meet in your life. When you watch him coach, when you get to know him, he is so he has such great attention to detail when it comes to the fundamentals of baseball that, I remember watching his Storm team at a 9U level at a tournament we had in Wellston, the one that I always call it the Ice Bowl, when the Silgate Field was iced over and I couldn't drag it at 8 o'clock in the morning, and everyone said, "What the hell are you going to do when it thaws?" And I said, "I don't have a damn clue, but we're playing." And we end up, you actually needed like paddle boats to run the bases by like noon when it warmed up. But his team, his 9-year-old team showed up. They all had long sleeves on. They was out down on one knee, power position, warming up. And it was so structured that it's no wonder he is a successful high school coach. And and by me making that comment, I want to say that just by sitting outside watching that was my first impression of him, and I was completely wrong by my perception of him. You know, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and knows. I mean, if he's one of those guys that like read the punctuation marks in the game of in the book of baseball. I mean, he knows every single thing, every situation. I mean, he knows what to do and he knows how to teach it. And Jackson's very fortunate to have a guy like that.
And in my opinion, he'll be in Jackson as long as he wants to stay in Jackson. And I've known Josh for, God, close to 20 years anyhow. Obviously, you know, my ex-wife, you know, is related to his wife. So, yeah, I've known him for forever and a lot further than baseball. I mean, he's there for the kids. He's there for the right reasons. But he also shows them the right ways. And it's not all about baseball to him. He wants good grades. He wants everything done right, his way. But his way is the right way.
Right.
And you're right. He comes off arrogant, but he's no different than me and you. He loves hopping on his pontoon boat with his dad and heading down to the high river and fishing. I mean, that's what he likes doing in his spare time. You know, no, just a good guy. And that's kind of what I was getting at is you take those hardcore coaches like that, and you know, we can get into Corey Camden, which is one of the most colorful coaches you'll ever see. God, but anyhow, those guys are there for the right reasons, man, and that's why they've been successful in anything they've done, because they've done things the right way.
And we've been around hundreds of baseball coaches at the youth level, and you know when you see the guys that are there for the right reason.
Coach Ott.
You named a couple. I mean, I can, you know, Joe Miller from Worthington,
Yeah.
from Worthington, Jeff Conley from Mineral Wells, Chris Mackey from Mineral Wells, Jay Cox with the Knuckleheads. I mean, I could keep going. Tony Gillespie, West Virginia Power, Brian Whittington, West Virginia Power, and then there's also some, I mean, some jackasses that you know that coach that, you know, just kind of. I don't know how we got into travel baseball and travel coaches and whatnot, but anyways, so back to the point at hand. Do you really think that? I mean, let me say it this way: what has to happen in your eyes for there to be a Major League Baseball season this year?
I don't think there's going to be one. I don't know that anything's going to happen. I don't think I don't think there'll be a season at all. And the next 3, 4, 5 years is going to suffer. There's no. I don't know of anything that can be done. Maybe. I think best case scenario, you know, like you almost said, almost like a prorate. I mean, that's the best case scenario. Will it ever happen? No, it won't. It would for guys like your Billy Hamiltons, your guys that's, you know, not making a shit ton of money, and is there for what I feel for the, you know, the right reasons. But your Bryce Harpers, your Joey Vottos, no, it's not going to happen because of pricks like them.
Right. So listen to this, and that you'll like this, and I'm sure you've watched the movie. So, you know, this morning, I was, or not this morning, I guess it was kind of like middle afternoon. I was doing some work on the computer and was getting ready to get Connor, and you know, Connor's been, me and him started a workout program on Tuesday. Not me and him started a workout program. He wanted to work out. I'm organizing the workout program. And as you could tell when I first came on, I was perspirating a little bit through my shirt because I was out running routes with him outside. But I watched Jerry Maguire. A lot of good things in that movie. I mean, in my opinion, from a guy that runs a business, that kind of what you go through and whatnot. But he was walking out with Rod. What was his last name? Rod
Tidwell.
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 Yeah. So he's walking out of the locker room with Rod, and Rod's thing always was, show me the money.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. My wife loves you, Jerry. Show me the money. And then they had the heart to heart, and Jerry looked at him and said, "You want me to be honest with you? The reason you don't have that $10 million is because it's all about you. That when you play, it's all about you. You don't play with heart no more. You got here playing with heart, and now you don't play that way because you're here. You just want money, and you want everyone to look at you and say, look at me, and I want paid for it, but you don't do the dirty shit that got you here."
Right.
So with that being said, then, obviously Rod has a great year. The Monday night game, he gets flipped over, acts like it knocked out, and then he gets up and does that, dance and shit at the end of it. And he gets his contract. So with what you said about Pete Rose, about 1-year contracts, hey, that, to be honest with you, I've never heard that before. And it makes all the sense in the world to me. And here's the thing. If athletes are worried about getting hurt, which is a very fair statement.
Sure.
If they're worried about getting hurt, then the players union and the owners need to figure out some sort of like insurance policy.
Right.
If a guy's making, $15 million a year and he gets hurt and he's got, on average, and he's got 8 years left, then there's, some sort of insurance policy, for
right.
him. But for there to, if there is not a Major League Baseball season this year, with a collective bargaining agreement coming up, I mean, this could possibly be a year, two seasons of baseball that's completely lost.
How many teams go under? You're just talking about lower level teams, your Brewers and some of your teams like that.
Well, Reds, are probably done.
Reds, Marlins, you can keep on going. The Royals, a lot of those teams, Padres, they're done. I mean, they're not a big market team like the Red Sox and the Yankees and even the Braves. They're just not a big market team like that can. I don't know that even the big market teams can sustain, 2 seasons.
What they need to do in baseball, in my opinion, a collective bargaining agreement, and somehow it needs done, and this will absolutely never happen. Never. What needs to happen is that you've got 20, what's on the roster? 27, 28 in that neighborhood?
Yeah.
Or is it even that high?
It used to be 23.
Okay.
But they raised it. But
okay,
go ahead.
So put a $200 million salary cap on your team. Yeah. And no, hell no, that's too high. Put $175 million salary cap on a team, on every team. And the hell with that, what they call it, luxury tax. Like if you're a small market team, the bigger market's got to pay. Who cares about that shit? To get people in the stands, it's about having a productive team and a competitive team.
Well, you're going to be more competitive if everybody's on the same playing field. I mean, when the Yankees are spending $600 million a year, and I'm
gonna pull up last year's salaries, because I did this with the boys the other day, and they, or not the other day, but Major League Baseball team salaries, and they were kind of amazed at the difference in it. So opening day, hold on a second. All right, so the Boston Red Sox were at 213 million. This was opening day 2019.
Right.
Okay. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, hold on, that's not even, hold on, let me keep going. The Miami Marlins was at 62.91 million.
Yeah.
How is that fair?
Yeah. And shit. Well, no, never mind, because he was in. I was going to say half of that was to Stanton, but he was already gone at that point.
And the Reds, who try, I really think they try. I mean, the Reds were at 128, right with Milwaukee at 130. So,
Yeah.
but you're talking $150 million difference between the Pirates, the Blue Jays, the Orioles, the Rays, the Marlins, compared to the Yankees, the Cubs, the Nationals, or the Red Sox. $160 million.
Yeah, and I mean that's yeah. I mean, where most teams can afford one stud, maybe two if they're lucky. Them other ones, you know, I mean they can have 4 or 5, and I just don't see how in the hell. I'm gonna go with hell. Just because you can hit a baseball 500 feet or throw it 99 miles per hour, I just don't see how in the hell you're worth that much damn money. I don't.
But what has the game turned into? The game has turned into home runs.
Yeah.
A lot of strikeouts,
Mm-hmm.
which you know, the pitching is. I'm going to say subpar when you are talking 30 teams. It's subpar compared to where it was. You got that they want the guy that throws 100 miles an hour. They don't want the guy that can get people out. And so basically, the sport has became, and you can even look at what scouts look at and what college coaches look at. They want somebody that can throw the baseball through the brick wall, and they want somebody that can hit a ball 450 feet in batting practice, and they think they can fix everything from that. So the Billy Hamilton guy's gone. The slash bunter Lenny Dykstra, that guy's gone. Pete Rose guy is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys don't last in the league anymore. And that's why Rose's record will never be broken.
Well, no, and you know, Pete Rose he didn't hit home runs. He was that single guy. He's was named Charlie Hustle for multiple reasons, but one reason was he loved to stretch that single into a double.
Right. And one of the most underappreciated things that he always did too was when he did get stuck at first, that next hit stretching that single from first to third instead of going first to second.
You know, and the reason the biggest reason and a lot of people don't know, but why they called him Charlie Hustle was when he would draw a walk, he would run as hard as he could down the damn line to first, ready to go. I mean, but you're right. Those guys, they don't exist no more. But you can even go back now. Let's go back to what you talked about earlier. Your Smoltz, Gavin, Steve Avery.
Right.
Today's pitchers, with what they want and what you're seeing, they ain't doing nothing. Maybe Tom Glavine, but John Smoltz, no. Steve Avery, no. Tom Glavine was just that damn good.
That they would have with the locations that those guys did, they would have dominated. Basically, what you have in a major league lineup anymore, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm building a major league baseball team, or no, I'm not going to say that because I would not build a major league baseball team this way. But the owners build a major league baseball team this way: that they want a guy that can run as a leadoff hitter. And then basically they want 2 through 8 to be 3, 4, or 5 hitters.
Okay. Well, Jamie, think back at how we always did things. I mean, we had 2 kids that typically led off for us, whether it was Ryland Sams.
Right.
We knew he could put a bat on the ball and he could get down a damn line, or it was Hunter, because we knew at any time he could bunt the ball and get on base. But you know, we had the same mentality as we just want to get that lead off on base because our next 6 coming, you know, at any time could go yard.
So you're exactly right with the team that we had. So then you go back to Carson's team at that same time, and we had, you know, whether Carson batted first or cleanup or wherever, but basically we had like a 1 through 4, and then a 1 through 4 again, and then we had another leadoff hitter at 9, and it rolled again, and we would put up. I mean, we would put up 12 runs a game on a good game, most games, but very rarely would we ever be under 5 or 6 runs. But small ball baseball is gone at the major league level. It's gone. And then when kids see that, you know, that these college scouts want somebody that can throw the ball through a block or can hit the ball a ton, that's all they worry about. That they don't spend time digging balls at first base, which you know, if you got any first basemen, look up the Baltimore Orioles coach hitting fungos at the guy at first base. It's awesome. It's awesome video. But you don't. It's not that simple. You know, trying to teach youth baseball. I mean, you try to teach everything, and I think even youth baseball is coming to that, where you're just trying to overpower people and then change speeds. And it's not location, and then change speeds. And it's not, let's do a hit and run, let the ball get deep and hit the ball the right side of the field. It's come out of your shoes and unload on shit. I even seen that article the other day talking about 2-strike hitting, and I agree with it somewhat, but 2-strike hitting, what's everyone always say?
Choke up.
Why?
You got more control over your bat head.
Okay, so this article said why? Yeah, you get 3 strikes.
Right.
So 2 of them's gone. So you just took 33% of his bat away from him.
66.
No, well, he's already got 2 strikes. Now I'm saying if you choke up and tell him just to put it in play,
I get what you're saying.
33% of his bat away.
Right.
So you know, and then you say, well, what's he supposed to do? What, I mean, swing the same way he did on the first and second swing, but his strike zone's got to get bigger. You know, his eyes have got to be bigger and expand the zone, but you still swing the same way.
Well, I've always had choke up a little bit anyhow. I mean, I don't care if it's first strike, no strikes, you know, it didn't matter. I always say choke up just a little anyhow. But I've seen some kids that do really well when they get deep into a count like that. They choke up and seem to put the ball into play. Well, but then some kids.
Let me ask you this: if Connor is in the box,
right,
and he's down 1-2,
do I tell him to choke up? No.
No. This is what this article made me think. So where's he get? What pitch is coming? If he's down 0-2 or 1-2,
probably something off speed. No, probably fastball.
Fastball away.
Yeah.
So you grab the plate and you get ready to shoot the ball to right field. Because that's what's coming, right?
Hit the ball, and he's probably going to let it right in, take it off his back foot, and where it's on, you know, it's going outside anyhow, and he's going to shoot it over.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. But somebody like Connor.
Well, but here's what I'm saying though. So if you're down 0-2 or 1-2, there's two pitches coming. They're either going to throw a fastball away from you.
Right.
This is 95% of the time. Whether it's 10U baseball or whether it's Game 7 of the World Series.
Sure.
It's a fact. Or you're going to get an off-speed pitch that's going to look like a strike and go away.
Right.
Okay, so you crowd the plate, and that now you don't have to worry about a ball up, a ball down, a ball in, a ball out. You don't have to worry about all that shit. You're looking fastball away, and if you see the ball spin, then you're taking it.
Right.
Because the ball is going to be in the dirt or whatever. So that's why they say two-strike hitting's the easiest pitch to hit because you know what's coming.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, you have somebody like a Connor or a Will Briggs. I probably you swing the way that you swing because you're always one pitch away from from going yard. Now
Right.
you take somebody maybe like a Josh Jackson, a Hunter. I would tell them, shorten up because I know with their speed, you just want kids like that to put it in play to let their legs take them the rest of the way.
All right, so let me ask you this in line with that. How many we've a lot of the travel ball that me and you have participated in have not this could not happen, but some of it has, and as our kids are getting older, it's becoming more apparent. But hit and run is gone.
It's gone.
Why?
It's because everybody's trying to hit that home run. Everybody's swinging for the fence. Selfishness.
How easy is it? Seriously, how easy is it? You talked about, you brought Josh Jackson up, and you know how I feel about Josh Jackson.
Right.
I had so much confidence in him for the 2 years that he played with us that I felt like I took the bat out of his hands a bunch, but it's because I knew he was very good at what he does. I take the bat out of Carson's hands a bunch, trying to play small ball. But if I had Josh Jackson up the bat and whoever the hell you want to say is on first base,
right,
leading off in a junior high game, a high school game, whatever, and I would let the first strike get there, but then once the first strike got there, you damn right. I mean, it's a hit and run every time Josh Jackson's in the batter's box. But
he's going to make contact.
And Josh, I want you to let the ball get deep, and I want you to hit the ball on the ground to second base. That's a single. I mean, it's a base.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing.
Control to be able to do that.
But it all goes into knowing your kids. But this is a three-parter. The coach knowing the kids. The second part of it is the kids understanding their role. The most important part is the parent allowing the coach to give their kid the role and telling the kid to embrace it. So those are the three important parts to all of that. A kid can have all the potential in the world, but if he doesn't accept that role, he's completely wasting it. And then if he's got to go home and hear, hey, you could hit this many home runs a year, but that asshole coach is making you bunt or making you take too many pitches.
Well, I'll tell you this with Josh, and then I'll get to my point. Why we went to this discussion. I know Yeah, at Mendy all the time. But he always has him bunt. He always has him do this. Well, and I'm sorry. And I'll tell her that. Yeah, I'm sorry. But the reason I did was because I trusted him. And, with that being said, the younger kids, the younger group that we had, which was Carson's group, I trusted Carson. I asked Carson to do the same thing that I asked Josh to do. And I did take the bat out of their hands a lot of times. All right.
Well, you got to have a couple of kids. You got to have a couple of kids that you can say, hey, let's put a bunt down. Let's take some pitches. And we had that. But you didn't dare do that with Noah, Connor, Will. Then that was majority. That's where your power was coming from. We took the bat. Yeah, you're right. Josh probably more than anybody. Hunter. But we utilized their speed. We did what whatever it took to get them on base.
All right. So here's what. So the game of baseball that we are begging to come back, and the owners want the players to be fair. In my opinion, the players are greedy as hell. They want money. That the game of baseball is a. I'm gonna get on my soapbox here if that's okay. But the game of baseball is a beautiful scientific game that there's so many variables in it, that there's so much more to it than throwing 100 mile an hour and going 1 for 4 with a 450-foot bomb that you see on SportsCenter, and then striking out 3 times. So the sacrifice bunt, for instance, is used every 4 games. Every 4 games, there's one sacrifice bunt every 4 games in 2019 Major League season.
But you used to see it probably once every 4 innings.
Correct. So now instead of when guys get on, guys can't handle the bat. So they're just constantly trying to hit home runs.
You're not asking a batter to advance a runner. You're asking that batter to drive the ball over the fence.
2 through 7 or 2 through 8.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, so the game of baseball, and what's the commissioner's name?
Bud Selig.
He's not that anymore, is he?
I don't know, buddy. I'm telling you.
But here's my point: is you this game has turned from a major league level, turned into home runs, turned into Aroldis Chapman throwing 104 mile an hour, even though was probably. I know like half of Cincinnati loved him, half of them hated him, but he absolutely he is. He's not even a top 10 closer.
Yeah.
When you look at blown saves, and then now you want to go back to Wellston alumni Jeff Montgomery, who was a solid like 5'9", had a competitive edge, had 4 pitches, had a hell of a slider, and hopefully I think we're going to have him on a podcast before long, which we're really excited about. But he had 300 career saves at Kansas City after his brief stint with the Reds,
right?
And he's in a Kansas City Hall of Fame. But the game is just so much different that I think to sum this up, I think you have a bunch of guys that work their butts off in the weight room trying to hit the ball 500 feet, a bunch of pitchers that work their ass off trying to throw as hard as they can. And the harder they throw and the harder they hit it and the farther they hit it, the more these dumbasses pay them, the more these people have to pay for tickets.
Yeah.
When give me a baseball game that includes an intentional walk. That we're sacrificing a bunt or hell. I mean, let's bunt for a base hit even, and yeah, still a base or two.
That isn't a pitcher.
And what?
I said, let's get a bunt that somebody that isn't a pitcher.
But,
because that's how people bunt anymore.
And taking away, relief pitchers got to come in and pitch to 3 batters. Bullshit. I mean, it's lefty on lefty. It's righty on righty. That is baseball. Now you take that away. Yeah. All trying to speed the game up when at the end of the day, baseball is a boring game because I love watching the home run derby, All-Star Weekend. I do. I love it.
Yeah.
But I can go back and you let me watch Greg Maddux pitch a baseball game right now.
Yep.
I will sit for 3 hours. I'll make 2 bags of popcorn and I will sit and watch every damn minute of it because that is baseball. Every pitch that means something. It's not. I don't know. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
It does. And you go back. 2 pitchers that I really always, I always liked watching. Tom Glavine pitch. But before that, when I first started watching baseball, got real big into it. Like I said, it was the Sabos and the Larkins. My favorite player was always Eric Davis. But, the 2 big pitchers I always liked to watch was Tom Browning and Jose Rio.
Right.
And they were good for but Tom Browning was a lot like Tom Glavine. It was all about ball placement. It wasn't all about speed and power. It was,
It topped out to 90 maybe, right?
Yeah, and then they'd throw you a fastball at 88 and then come back with changeup at 72.
Right.
Rio's
fastball is probably 92 tops.
And and that was, he was solid. He was a great pitcher. We can go back 6 years ago, 7 years ago to Johnny Cueto for the Reds.
Right.
To me, Cueto was kind of old school.
He was his delivery that even threw him off.
He hit the ball well, but he was all about changing speeds. You just don't see that much anymore. And if more pitchers would be like that, they'd be successful as shit, but they wouldn't make the money. They'd win a ton of games.
But so here's the bullet point for all of this. We've been on here a little over an hour, and here's the bullet point for all this. Yeah, you can, and it's not going to happen, but you can. The owners could say, all right, players union, we can't come to an agreement, so we're going to play with our minor league kids 2020 and we're going to play baseball, and the baseball enthusiasts like myself, like yourself, and like a lot of other people, right. if they see guys running out of walk, like you said, Pete Rose did. If they see guys bunting for base hits, if they see guys laying out on the ground ball that they know they can't get, but trying to knock the ball down the infield to keep the guy scoring from second.
Right. That
now all of a sudden you get people's attention that the game of baseball is now the game of baseball again, and right now it's not. Right now it is a It's a glorified home run derby, and I'm not going to let you hit a home run off me because I can throw it 100 mph. But if you square it up, you're going to hit a bomb off of me.
Right.
That is baseball right now.
Well, I mean, that's I don't know.
And that perfect example was the Astros thing, still in signs. So if you know what's coming,
yeah,
I mean, the shit's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, but I want to see the lineup of the guy, of the dirty guy, the guy that's filthy from his shoulders to his knees as a leadoff hitter and a center fielder or a second baseman. Pokey Reese was that guy. Billy Hamilton was that kind of guy. I want to see that guy as a leadoff hitter. I want to see a second 2-hole hitter that can hit the ball, contact wherever the hell he wants to hit it at. I want the 3-hole hitter, the 4-hole hitter, the 5-hole hitter to drive in runs. I want the 6-hole hitter to basically start to line up everything over again. And right now it's not that way. And people are getting, if you're paying $15 million or $20 million for a 7 or 8-hole hitter like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Cubs do, the game of baseball is unfair.
I mean, I think this year is going to put it even further behind. And I hope I'm wrong, but I mean, I don't think baseball is going to be baseball for the next few years unless they get something figured out, and it's got to get figured out pretty quickly. I mean, that's just my opinion, man.
Right. So as we wrap everything up, tonight, football, great thing. Football's getting started. The kids are getting back, working out. So hopefully, I've seen some of the line stuff, about school restarting in the fall. In Ohio, I haven't heard much from Justice as far as the school goes next fall, but hopefully it's not, that this 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and no recess and all that stuff. And me and Connor's been working out this week. And again, I shouldn't say me and Connor, but Connor's been working out. And wearing a mask in there is frustrating. It's safe, it's fine, but it's frustrating. And I just think that is kind of where this world is coming to. And I don't know the reason. I don't want to even try to get into that conversation. But I do want to leave with one thing, and then I will I'll let you speak on it if you wish. Tomorrow, it's 11:04 right now, which this thing's not going to be posted for a couple hours. Locally, Chillicothe, you got a lot of people boarding up windows right now, and there's lifts of bricks that were brought into town today. Do not tear the city of Chillicothe up tomorrow. That there's peaceful protest. There's right ways to do things. There's right ways to hear your voice. And again, like I said at the beginning of this, some buddies of mine that have posted on Facebook, and I did not realize that the racist game was still as strong as it was at the elementary school level that it is. According to some people that I know, they're not bullshitting when they post shit. I mean, I've known them for a long time.
Right.
But that doesn't, that Antifa group that has bust their ass in, that you said you've seen them bust their ass into Chillicothe, that they don't run Chillicothe, they don't own Chillicothe, and their ass is going to leave as soon as this is done. So show up, do your protest, yell all you want, scream all you want, hold all the signs you want. I'll promise you 99% of police officers across the country are with you in your peaceful protest. That group, one of those group, one guy in that group grab a brick and throw it, and then the police have to defend themselves. And then shit breaks loose. So,
Yep.
Stephen A. Smith, listen, I'm going to tag you in some stuff because I loved you to death, and I'm not. I'm struggling with liking you right now. But Drew Brees made a comment. He just gave his opinion, just like I'm giving my opinion. And what happened in Minnesota and Minneapolis was completely wrong. Should not have happened. He's got a grandfather that was a vet. He feels strongly about the flag. He feels strongly about the national anthem, and that's Drew Brees' opinion. That doesn't mean Drew Brees felt that it felt he didn't. That doesn't mean he didn't agree that what happened to George Floyd shouldn't have happened. Because he said that. But the one thing that I do want to see that's frustrating to me is, Stephen A. Smith made a comment that said that the black people out protesting are soldiers, and I'm going to say it. And and any black person that knows me knows I am the farthest thing from racist as they come. I don't look at colors of skin in any way, shape, or form. But if you're going to call those guys, those protesters that are out, soldiers, whether they're peaceful protesters or whether they're voicing their opinions, being protesters, or whether they are the 10% of jackasses that are white, black, Hispanic, that they're everything. I've seen on the news. It's not just blacks. It's not just whites. The 10% that are jackasses that are tearing our country up. If you're calling any of them soldiers, Stephen A., you can kiss my ass, because they're not. And I'd love to have a conversation with you about it, because I'm all for it. I'm all for the peaceful protest. Like we said earlier, in Columbus, it was great to see the Columbus PD, the protesters kneeling together, and it's happened in other places. But those protesters aren't soldiers. Those protesters aren't laying in bunkers in Afghanistan. They don't. They haven't been through Vietnam. They haven't been through. They're not soldiers. They're protesters that are voicing their opinion. 80% of them, God love them. Let's get this shit right for our country. Or I'm sorry, 90% of them. 10% of them, again, go to hell, because all you're out here to do is to tear shit up. And so tomorrow in Chillicothe, I ask, for anyone that listens, small businesses have been through enough. As you know, you're working at Coghlan right now.
Right.
The financial strain's been enough.
Sure.
Don't go tear shit up in Chillicothe. And when those 10% of people start that shit, you helping stop it doesn't silence your voice. Your voice is still going to be heard by doing it the right way. But those 10% of people need ran the hell out of Ross County, because they're not even from Ross County. That are going to create this. So, Ryan, I'll leave it with you.
Well, when they get to protesting and all that, and that's fine and well. I mean, we have free speech, everything that goes with it. But when you're laying down in roads, trying to block roads, when you're blocking people from going to work, um, to feed their family, or trying to get home from work to be with their families, that's a goddamn problem. And the fact of the matter is, why, you see on the news, people that do stop, hell, they're just getting their windows busted out. They're getting it. Why in the hell would you stop? Here's the thing. If you try to stop a car with your body, it's not going to work. One thing's going to happen. You're going to lose. And in my personal opinion, if you run out in the road and try to stop me as I'm going 40 miles an hour down Bridge Street, that's a conversation for you and Jesus. So I'm not letting out the gas. I'm not dumb.
Right.
And who would? But
what I want to clarify with this, because I don't want this to come out the wrong way at the end.
Right.
That is the 10% of these people.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If you want to do your thing.
It's whites, it's Hispanics, it's blacks. I've seen it all. It's not like it's the blacks.
No.
It's the whites. I've seen them all doing it. It is the 10% that is making this protest aggressive.
They're all idiots. All of them that is kind of being radical with it. Not. Hey, if you want to go stand on the courthouse and hold a sign and scream and yell and not be violent, go do it. That's your that's your prerogative. But like you said, that those the handfuls of those groups that are laying in the roads, kicking in windows, putting bricks through windows, beating the hell out of store owners. They need shot. And like you said, it wasn't no certain color.
Right.
There's whites, there's blacks, here's my thing, and I know, and everybody said the same thing. Everything that happened with him, it was wrong. I don't think that, and to me, that's not a white and black thing, because I don't know too many white people that would deny that it's wrong. I haven't heard any.
I've not heard.
I think everybody sides when they say, hey, that's a bad situation.
I heard one single person say that would, regardless of color.
Sure. So my thing is what are we? What are we? So the guy's lost his job. He's lost his family. He's going to prison, and I don't know if I should say it, but he's going to get what's coming to him. So what are we still protesting?
Here's the thing with it, I guess, and I think this is what and I see, I haven't got a problem saying this, but this is what the black community is, the black community that are protesting the right way. What I think they, or not, I think that they're wanting, I know what they're wanting, is they want to be on an even playing field. They want to feel like they're on an even playing field. Sure. And here's my thoughts sitting in my quote unquote man cave in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and I don't have a hell of a lot of followers like some of these guys do, but police brutality is a problem in the United States. It definitely is a problem. But when you Google police brutality, what's the first thing that comes up is by race. No, fuck that. I don't want to see it by race, because I don't look at our country that way. I don't look at our country by race. I look at our country as by country. And when you Google it and get off here, when we get off here, do it. You Google police brutality, boom, and hit it. It comes up: white cop, black criminal; black cop, white criminal. Hit. Fuck that. That's not what that's police brutality. We're all American citizens, and we have 10% of our country are shitheads, whether they are white, black, Mexican, purple, pink, indigo, violet, what the fuck ever color they are. I don't care. 10% of our citizens are shitheads. That has not, and those shitheads come out on times like this that are doing shit that they shouldn't do. But I mean, that's just the way I look at things. And I know I'm not, in the last 2 weeks, my eyes have been open to the fact that there's a lot more people that don't feel the same way I do than I realized. Yeah. So I used to hear people throw the racist word out, and I would say, it's not that way anymore. And I'm wrong. I'm wrong by that. When it comes to kids at school, elementary schools and whatnot, I am wrong with that. And I apologize for the white race that's too stupid to realize that shit's not that way anymore. But with these protests, this protest is not about race at this point. This protest is just about, like I said, 90% of the people want justice, which the justice is going to happen, like you said.
Yeah.
90% of the people want their voices heard, which I think is going to happen. Sure. 10% of these jackasses, and I'm telling you, you can turn on CNN right now and watch people that loots and people that beat business owners. I mean, the one that beat that the woman the other day, and then her husband came out and beat him too. There was 2 black guys, there was 2 white guys, and there was 2 guys you couldn't tell what the hell he was because he had a mask on. Right. So this isn't about race, in my opinion. This is about American citizens. What we have 10% of our country that are shitheads, and some of those shitheads, guess what? They're cops. Right. Shitheads are, and that doesn't mean all cops are that way. That doesn't mean all business owners are that way. That doesn't mean that all coaches are that way. Being a sports director. What it means to me is, as parents with our kids, we need to do a better job. That I need to do a better job making sure that when my kids go to school and they hear racism, they need to help put a stop to it. Because my kids aren't racist either. They're not. They will never be. But not just me. Every parent needs to do that. That's a whole different topic of why we're tearing. Hey, thanks for everyone watching tonight. Our episode of Salt, Pepper, and don't forget the sugar. Again, I just want to reiterate tomorrow, Chillicothe. Please, keep things right. Keep the people that are being bussed in out of the protest. Keep things peaceful. Make your voice heard, and hopefully we'll have a good outcome tomorrow. And keep fighting for what you believe in, because I believe you're fighting. The 90% of you is fighting the right battle, but 10% of the people are not. So keep things peaceful tomorrow. Hopefully don't tear shit up, and have a good evening.